Hi, I just wanted to do a quick video of something that comes up quite a lot, and I've discussed in some of my videos, which is about running zones, and particularly running easy. There's a lot of talk about running in zone 2, less so in running in zone 1. It's almost like zones have fashions. And really in this video, I just wanted to share quickly, really as a coach, the mistake I see again and again and again when people are trying to do easy runs, running in their zone 1 and 2. Now, I'm not going to go through all the zones in this video, but it's needless to say, you might be utilising zones by heart rate, by pace. As a coach, I prefer to utilise effort because pace is an external metric, whereas effort is always going to be accurate. Running up a hill at 10-minute miles and running down a hill at 10-minute mile an hour is a different experience. And you can experience that difference in effort. You can't experience it with pace. Pace is an external metric. I have a love-hate relationship with heart rate monitors. I do use them and I do use them in my coaching, but they can overcomplicate many factors and end up with runners procrastinating and generally wasting time. Whereas using effort, a 5-zone system for effort, easy, steady easy, comfortably hard zone 3, which you try and keep out of most of the time, the grey area, because runners tend to either run their easy runs too hard in zone 3 or run their speed runs not hard enough, or they don't get the right duration. They run their speed runs for too long. 4 and 5, hard or very hard. But the basis of this video is not really around that. It's the zones 1 and 2. And so many runners we coach will run this too hard. And we will say to them, keep it conversational. And they go, it is conversational. And you're like, yeah, but you could run slower, easier than that and still get the benefits and then have quicker recovery, lower risk of injury. And they go, yeah, but it feels too slow. And as I've said in previous videos, the question I have then is, too slow for what? Too slow in comparison to somebody else? Too slow in comparison to what you think? Too slow in comparison to race pace, which I recently did a video about? What are you comparing it with? And I've said this in previous videos as well, but it's worth tying down just to zone 1 and 2 here, is people will make comparisons. If they say something's too easy or too slow, they're making a comparison. A bit like if you say something's too expensive, then you're making a comparison with something else. And the biggest mistake people make with running 1 and 2 is running it too hard. There's almost no instance of running it too easy. So if in doubt, slow down. And I had an instance recently with a runner I coach, and he runs his long runs fairly easy. But he told me a story where on the Saturday before the long run, he went deep sea fishing and he got really seasick. So when it came to the Sunday, he thought, I'm going to take this run even easier than normal. And he took it really easy. And I just said to him, it's one of your best ever runs. And he's like, really? And I said, but don't take my word for it. How did you feel? And he went, well, I felt great while I was doing it. It was just a lot slower compared to what? And I said, but how do you feel today? I feel a lot better. I don't feel so tired. I don't feel so exhausted. And I went, and you've got all the benefits, because you've got to look at why you're doing a thing. If you're running zone 1 and 2, easy runs, what you're doing is, if you think of it like a cake, you're laying down the foundations of the cake, the main ingredients, zone 1 and 2. And depending on how fit you are and various other factors, you'll be doing predominantly, you're running in those 2 zones. And then depending on how big you can make that cake, how well you can run in zone 1 and 2, depends on how much icing you can put on top of the cake, which is your zone 4 and 5. Then you have a little sprinkling now and again of zone 3, comfortably hard. Now zone 3, think of it like salt in food. If you have no salt in food, that tastes kind of bland, doesn't it? But you ever had one of those meals where somebody's just put way too much salt in? Completely ruins it, doesn't it? That's zone 3. That's where most runners are when they come to us when they're coached. They think they're running easy, but they're running way too hard. You say, could you hold a conversation? If I rode on a bike next to you while you were running, could you hold a conversation? Would you want to hold a conversation? No. Slow down then. Slow down into that zone 1 and 2. How do you know you're in zone 1 or 2? Well, it will depend on how fit you are. I was talking to somebody recently, somebody elderly, and even just walking long distances means that she can't talk. She's in zone 2 almost straight away. Whereas I've had runners who are really fit and they've built out their capacity for zone 2. Think of it like a keyboard with notes that can expand. In the end, you've got a much bigger keyboard with many, many, many notes. That means that you might actually, if you run a lot in zone 2, be tiring yourself out. Once that keyboard gets really quick, it's even more important that you run on the lower end of that keyboard, the easier end, and maybe even do more running in your zone 1. Zone 1 is really easy conversational running and is often ignored by runners because it is, air quotes, too easy. See where I'm going with this? That runners think something has to hurt for it to work. Now, your speed work, for short periods of time, that is intense and hard, but that should be the cream on the cake. It shouldn't be the cake. And if you're trying to build and create your cake based off mainly running zone 3 with a bit of zone 4 and 5 and not enough easy conversational runs, then in the end that cake collapses. You either plateau, you burn out, you get injured. If that's where you've been, I can almost guarantee that you've not done enough foundational running, either in zones 1 or 2, conversational stuff. And the reason that you've resisted that is it's too easy compared to what? Now, if this has really interested you and you're curious, this is something that we really do cover on the Marathon Maximiser, which is our free 10-day workshop. I do them about once every month or so, and we cover all this plus a lot more, and we sort of look at your generic running plan and we take the uncertainty out of it and give you tips on how to make the results you get more predictable, which are a lot around what I've spoken about. Now, my evil plan in all this is that, of course, sometime amongst 10 days, I will make an offer about my paid program, the Foundation's 8-week program, but you'll get a lot of value throughout the 10 days. And at the end of the day, I'm not some magician. I can't make you do anything. So it would be your choice. So if you're interested in that, there will be a link somewhere around this video. But just really look at your easy runs. Are they really truly easy? And if you're in doubt, simply just go easier.